Hello, everybody, and I hope you're having a great morning so far. I am a tutor from Source Point and a tutor healing, and I'm here with my good friend Lyndle, who is a holistic wellness advocate. And this is under the One Connect interviews. So what we do is it's just to let whoever needs to listen to this will be listening to this at some point. This is not scripted, it's not planned. The reason I've asked for Lyndle to bring her knowledge and wisdom, goddess knowledge, to this call is because, you know, I think she's true testament to what's possible when you unfold and connect. And you've had a very spiritual journey so far, which obviously I know is getting stronger and stronger. So without further ado, Lyndle, do you just want to give it a bit of a brief intro of yourself, please?
Thank you. And thank you for having me. It's really quite an honor for you to be holding space for me. We've been on quite a journey together so far, and only to continue, I know. So my name is Lyndle, and I have had a business called Hair on the Move to You for a long time, and we rebranded last year into Hair Beauty Life Co. So as with, you know, my expansion of my spiritual self, Hair on the Move didn't really fit anymore because we wanted to bring more of those elements of holistic wellness to the forefront, I think, you know, to make that a lot easier for people to obtain. I think there's just so much out there, and it's really hard for people to know what the right thing is for them, who they go to, who do they go to for what, how do I choose the right practitioner. So our aim is to create a platform where we bring together a space of people that share that collective truth, I suppose, that, you know, we're all about the greater good and well-being of our community. So the products that we align ourselves with and that we partner with, so we're hoping to have affiliate partners with other companies that share that same vision and ethos for people and the community, as well as practitioners and therapists. So anything from hairdressing to beauty to coaches to energy healers to nutritionists, like all of those sorts of things. So being that one hub of bringing all of that together.
I love it.
Yeah, but I've been on quite a journey. You know, I've always been intuitive and extremely empathic. And as a hairdresser, you tend to take on and feel a lot of people's energies and things. And for a long time, I didn't know how to manage that, or didn't realize there was a difference between my energies and other people's. And sometimes I take stuff on and think it was my own and not realize there was a difference between the two. So the last year in particular probably has gave me a lot of time, as a lot of people, time for some introspection to really kind of go within and ask those questions and really unravel. You know, who am I? What's my purpose? What am I doing here? You know, knowing that like hairdressing has always been my vessel, but that's purely what it is. And I see that now, that it's the vessel to my spirituality, that I can really truly help people on a much larger scale, both within the general community, but also my team, being the energy healer that I now am.
So I'm curious, right? And I love these. I love how these things unfold. So just so we can paint the picture here, so people can really get a sense and a feel of where you've come from. So just how long were you a hairdresser?
I've been hairdressing for probably 20 years.
20 years.
I knew when I left school at year 10, I was going to be a freelance hair and makeup artist. That's
so year 10, and I'm English, so just remind me, so how old were you at year 10?
I would have been 16, 17.
16, 17, and we don't need to know how old you are now, but so but all testament, because your hair, like, I'm no hairdresser, but I mean, look at this hair, ladies and gentlemen, it's like incredible. Yeah, you know, I feel embarrassed, but anyway, a few tips. So from 16, and then you went into that and you became a hair and beauty makeup artist. Did you straight away?
Yeah, hair and makeup. And then 2 years ago, I invested in getting rid of all of my hair products and my makeup products, and I went completely holistic. So I've converted to all mineral-based makeups and all organic shampoos, conditioners, products. So because that just really aligned with me. It kind of, I just didn't feel right. One, I'm the one that's being exposed daily to these toxins and chemicals. And, you know, so often, like, I'm that person that people are trusting. They're trusting in the advice that I'm giving them of shampoos and conditioners to use and what makeup to use. And I didn't feel good recommending products that didn't really align with me. And, you know, like I used MAC in my kits for my bridal and stuff. People were like, oh, what do you use? I love this. And I'm like, I would never recommend you to use this every day. Like, it's just too much for your skin. Allow it to breathe and all of that stuff. So that kind of then pushed me to go down that road. And as I've kind of dove into being more holistic in those areas of my life and my diet and all of that, and also battling with my own, you know, fatigues and burnout and exhaustion and things that I'm sure most mums can align with.
Relate to.
Working mums. I mean, dads too, but I feel like mums in particular tend to go through burnout a lot more than men do, just because we are juggling so many balls in the air between being mum and whatever else.
And becoming the new you, right? After that transformational journey.
Yeah. So, you know, it's just about what I feel like's happening now is all about that aligning. So how do I align myself more with what's true for me? What is my truth?
What's his name?
Brucey is coming to say hi.
Hi, Brucey. We love dogs. Hey, Bruce.
Hi.
He's a beautiful staffy. And so I'm just curious. So from 16, you went through this, and obviously 2 years you've been doing that. But what was the you know, I use the word source point because that's why I named my business Source Point. But what was the source point, the moment when you were like doing hair and you were, you know, you said you've always been intuitive and empathic. What was the moment when you were like, there's something more here? So
I don't think there was a moment. There's been lots of moments, but I remember even when I was doing my pre-apprenticeship when I was however old I was, I think before I even finished school in hairdressing, because I always knew that that's where I was going. I remember talking to a friend at the time, and she was like, oh, you're such a good like psychologist, you know, like you should do something like that. But my belief system then was, I'm not smart enough to study psychology. I'm like, I love people and I'm so interested in the human psychology, like why people do what they do. You know, coming from my background and the traumas that I experienced in my early teens, kind of always had me in the question of, you know, why do your parents do what they do, and how you can end up how you end up, and you know, like you're a product of your environment. Always just having those interests, like always wanting to know where it all stems from. So I think I've always been in that question, but there was that belief for a really long time I wasn't smart enough to go down that road. So I feel like it's been like an ever evolving kind of thing of I've always been into natural therapies. So even now, like I seldom go to a doctor. If there's something not right with me, usually I'll know intuitively what it is. And if I need antibiotics, I'll go to a doctor and say, this is what's wrong with me. I need antibiotics. But generally speaking now, I know to be true that if there's something physically going on for me, that there's an emotional something that I need to deal with. And that's just giving me another opportunity to work with that. So I guess in answer to your question, there wasn't like any one particular thing. It was always just, I always knew I loved hairdressing because of the connection. I got with people. And, you know, hairdressers are notorious for being told, like you get told people's life story.
It's like going to a psychologist anyway, isn't it? It's like, you know.
Right. So it is free psychology for a lot of people, but it's always that, like, I just wished I could help more. You know, people are divulging all this information to me. They're trusting me in their stuff, but then I don't have any tools to be able to give them to help them move through this space. So I guess, you know, as I've been on my journey of trying to heal myself and, you know, find enlightenment, and it's all been through natural therapies and natural healers and energy healers. And, you know, I've seen the conventional therapists, and for me, that just didn't cut it, because I think a lot of my stuff was programming from my childhood and my ancestors and my core beliefs, and you know, things that were so much deeper than just this lifetime. So that's where the magic has really happened for me. Is now I'm a theta healer, And the teachings have just gone like, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it now, because it addresses all elements of soul self, all of our core beliefs, history beliefs, soul beliefs. So all the things that we've brought through on these genetic levels in our soul lives, you know, it affects us in some way, shape or form. So now we're able to kind of remove those layers that don't belong to us. And, you know, stuff pops up constantly, but even now I'm able to kind of question, okay, what is this? Like this week I had a sore neck. I'm hardly able to move my neck on Monday.
Yeah.
So I just asked the question, like, who is this? What does this belong to? Does this belong to me? Where does it come from? And it came back from like a past life where it's hung. So I'm like, that's where the pain came from. So it was just then about healing that lifetime and bringing through the lessons that I had from that lifetime. Like, yeah, it's just incredible. So now I have the tools to really help people, and seeing how people are shifting on the both physical and metaphysical levels in such a short space of time is incredible.
So I love all that, and I love your journey, and it's obviously true testament to, you know I always say the goddess energy, right? Whether that be this lifetime or past lifetimes. But I suppose for people listening or anyone that's going to watch this, you know, what I think is great is the journey that you've come through. Like, you know, I don't know anything about your trauma as a child. I don't need to know that, not as the listeners, but, you know, I think we've all, if this is just my opinion, by the way, to become a healer, or to have the directional call to become a healer, whatever shape and form that is, there's generally some trauma that we've experienced, right, in this lifetime. Otherwise we wouldn't be seeking to heal ourselves, as you said. So but what I love about your journey, and I think every woman's, right, because I think I shared this with you, it's like, you know, without woman there is no life, right? You are the bringers of life to the world, which is a huge role. But and most people nowadays tend to sort of overlook that and go, oh, you had a baby, whereas like, no, I've actually given birth to life, right? There's a huge difference. But I suppose for me and for mums out there, right, as well, and obviously, you know, you're a single mum, you're running a business, you're raising 2 children, you got a beautiful dog, you're healing, you're hairdressing. So I suppose with all those women out there and men, but I suppose women, having those belief systems of, like what you know, with the psychology, you know, I can't do that, I'm not smart enough, or I can't, having all these callings and feelings and wanting to express themselves and realign themselves on their transformational journey, right? How do you, Lyndle, hold all these roles and play all these roles? Because you're still, you know, I spoke to you, well, I think it was last week, or what text was talk, I can't remember which one it was, but it's like, you know, you're doing all this stuff, you've got your theta, you're managing your children, you're managing a household, you're running a business, you're multiple businesses now.
Yeah.
How do you manage that?
Well, I think it's been an evolution. So, you know, had I have just gone from 0 to where I am now, there's no way I would have had the capacity to manage it all. You know, I started my first business, Happy Beauty Life Co. 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was my first baby. So, you know, it's grown slowly over time. That business started off with just purely being me. And then, you know, as I had my children, it gave me the opportunity to then bring in other people, because the business was doing well. So why, you know, limit it to just myself?
Yep.
And then, you know, as it continued to grow, you know, again, my journey was like, I was in burnout and fatigue, and I wasn't coping. I wasn't coping with it all. Like with young children being on the road a couple of days a week, I did have an au pair that lived with us that made it manageable. My marriage was also in disarray at the time, and he wasn't supporting me to do what I needed to do. So I was extremely burnt out and tired. And I, you know, again, I sought out help. So again, down the natural therapies road, I spoke to, she was a naturopath, a nutritionist, and a coach. And at the time, I didn't feel like she'd given me much advice, but the one bit of advice that she did give me And I mean, now looking back in hindsight, I do understand she actually gave me quite a lot of advice. She could see my adrenals were burnt out and I needed to change the way that I was living radically. So, you know, we get pushed to an extreme to make us make changes, whether it for the good or the bad or whatever, to change.
Yep.
So in that point, I was like, I can't keep doing what I'm doing with young children. Being on the road was just too difficult. If I had have had more of a supportive husband who was around more, it probably would have been a different scenario, but it wasn't. And for the best, because it just made me have to think outside the square. What do I need to do to make life okay for me?
Yep.
So I took myself off the road and just focused on growing the business externally of myself. And it was also a good test to kind of see how profitable the business is or possible without me being the pure money maker in it.
Yep.
And that's when I removed myself and started working in a salon close to home. So contracting to home. So still working for myself. I'd pick and choose the mobile like hours that I wanted. But not having to stress about, because even just being on the road, like, I mean, I think, you know, when you've got to get to work or you've got like timelines, that adds an extra level of pressure. And then you've got traffic, which you can't control, which adds another level of pressure. So you're trying to get out the house, you've got that adrenals are already pumping. Then you're like contending with traffic, adrenals are pumping. So all day it's just run. So it's no wonder we get to the end of the day or end of the week or end of the month and just feel completely frazzled and burnt out. So
and on top of that, because I've experienced fatigue several times through my life, through being that racehorse. But I suppose as a mother, right, as a woman, and I only know this, by the way, I'm no expert, but I only know this because of my partner's journey, right, after giving birth. It's like it takes a woman's body 2 years to recover from birth, which I still find amazing. And obviously, if you're breastfeeding as well, for however long you're breastfeeding, it's like all the nutrients going into your body are leaving your body, going into the child, right? Which is Mother Nature's way, and that's why women are here to give birth. And then add on top of that, you know, the stress being in a marriage where you're not being supported, running a business, being on the road.
I had two babies, so I had two. Like there's 18 months between them. Two under two, and I was back at work within 4 months of my second one. So and my eldest wasn't sleeping at the time. So it was just, I honestly don't know how I made it through those years. But I'm here.
and that calling though, what was that calling for? Because there's so many mums in this position, you know, and I don't know about you, but most of my clients, whether it be coaching, healing or spiritual, are women, right? And generally it's a repetitive theme. Like I've got 1 to 3 kids. My marriage, I've been married for 14, you know, I'm just 14, 10 years, 5 years, whatever it is. I'm not feeling that I'm here to fulfill my true potential. I feel like I'm just in Groundhog Day. I'm exhausted. I'm depleted. I have nothing. Yet there's this something within me that is calling for something and driving force. So what was that when you were going through? So I think it's really interesting, your it's true testament to what you can do. What was calling and driving you when you were going through that, if you can remember when you feel into it?
I think the thing was like how I shifted was like being a mom, you just have this like fierce protection over your baby, over your cubs. So like failure was not an option for me because I had to strive, survive and flourish for the sake of my children, because I needed to be the role model for them. I needed to create a life for them. You know, I knew that was on me. So as tired as I was and as exhausted as I was, which also kind of made leaving the marriage at the time easy, because I mean, I wasn't getting the support I needed anyway. So, you know, it's easier to be on your own without this other person and energy dragging you down. And you're a lot freer, for me anyway, I'm a lot freer to be myself. So I am naturally a very free energy, and I need the freedom to be all of who I am. But I guess this relationship continued to show me how I would make myself smaller to fit inside a box to appease somebody else. And
to conform, if you like, to somebody else's expectations, right? It's
just to make it more comfortable for them.
Yeah.
Because my truth and my voice and my authentic self was too much for him. But I think for me, it was always about my kids. So my kids were always the number one of keeping me going. Like if I didn't have them, I don't actually know how successful my business would be, because like that, they gave me the will to kind of really push. They gave me the reason to fight. But then I think once I came out the other side of the ending of the marriage, it kind of then gave me a little more time to focus on myself, because I had dedicated time to do that. So he would take the kids for a certain amount of time, and I had to let go of control a little bit. So
yeah.
I think women in my position, generally it's a bit of a control thing, like, because we're the organizers, we're organizing their food and their sleep schedule, and we know if they don't do that, then we pay for that later because they're tired and rah. But there kind of just came a point where I just had to like relinquish control and just be like, well, you know what, I can only do what I can do, and he's their father at the end of the day. I need to let it go because I actually need this for my own sanity. So I think it's about finding whatever that balance is for you, to allow downtime. And I think a lot of women, like I remember thinking when the marriage ended, actually being really sad for myself that I hadn't allowed myself time. Like I didn't, make myself enough of a priority, that I allowed myself to be treated in a certain way for so long. And just that, I allowed that ultimately. Like we get treated the way we allow ourselves to get treated. So,
And did the energy, because I, when I look at you and I feel into your energy, right? Obviously now it's clear, it's strong. You've stepped into the goddess, right? You're in the goddess flow, and this is beautiful to watch. Yet, I hope you don't mind me sharing this. Yet 9 months ago, right, whenever it was, that wasn't the case. There was confusion and doubt and the yin and the yang, and what should I do, what should I do. And I suppose I see this so many times, and I know that people are going to watch this and listen to this, and it's a case of like knowing the healer, or this self-enlightenment you were seeking or being called to allow to unfold, and that's unfolding now clearly and powerfully. But when you were conforming and when you were going, to appease somebody else, there were so many women and men, but unfortunately majority women, right, are in this situation, and they're like, I was chatting to somebody a few weeks ago, and they were like, I've been married for 9 years, I've got 4 kids, we're living under the same roof, we're separated, I can't go because of my kids, and there's this like consistent conforming, right? And that was a really brave thing that you did, and I think any woman to say, right, you know what, this is not serving me, I am more than this, and my children will adapt, my children will become who they have to be regardless of what happens in this relationship. That's true bravery too, very courageous. Just share some energy, if you like, or some words to the women who are in that situation now, but are seeking to become like what you are now. So what would you share with them?
So like last year, I think was, like I said, it was a lot of time for introspection. So it gave me the time to spend on uncovering these aspects of myself. And the more that I stepped into more of who I was, the more the veil of the truth and my realities were lifted. It was like I couldn't unsee the truth in front of me anymore. And it's a process. Like I'm not going to say like it's an overnight, you just wake up one day and you're like, oh, I'm done. That's it, I'm finished. I knew for like probably the last 6 months of the year that I was done. But I think because I am such an empath, so part of the process I actually went through was the fear and the thought of how I was going to hurt him throughout this process. So again, it could be it never comes about me and what I'm going through and how much I'm hurting and how alone I feel and how unsupported I am. It was always about, what am I going to do to him? And he needs me, and I need to be that support system for him. And, if I'm not here, then like everything falls apart because I'm the one that keeps it all together.
Mm.
But then it just kept coming back to like that voice that I just kept hearing was, you are, but your happiness is just as important, if not more.
Mm.
And I think that was that voice that kept ringing louder and louder and louder and louder of, you know, it's not selfish to want to be happy.
Mm.
And at the end of the day, this relationship does not make you happy. You don't give each other the happiness either way that you both deserve. And as I kind of went through that process and I talked it out with lots of different people, it's not even that he's a bad person. It just came to the point where I have outgrown him. And I realized that the way that he is and the way that I am and the way that we're both moving is very separate directions.
Mm.
And, you know, if I love my children as much as I say I do, then I want to model to them what happiness looks like. I want to model to them that sometimes making the hardest decisions are the best decisions. But I have to say, hand on heart, I couldn't have done this process without like theta healing and coaching and you know, all the resources that I've tapped into over the course of the year, because it's just given me more and more connection to myself. And I think the more connected you are to yourself, the more that it's not selfishness. And this is something that, you know, I've kind of struggled to understand because, you know, I've had narcissism in my life for a long time. So not being a narcissist and being an empath, like I attract narcissists because I'm an empath. It's just generally what happens. And you'll see that kind of dynamic a lot of the time. But it was about me just stepping into my power, stepping into knowing that I am worth and I am deserving and I am worthy, and continuously just working through that worthiness of like, you know what, I do deserve to be happy. I do deserve to be treated like a princess. I do deserve to have a man that just thinks I'm the most amazing thing that he's ever seen and just thinks he is so blessed every day to have me in his life. And I didn't have that. And I mean, nor did my husband, because I didn't feel that way about him because he didn't feel that way about me. And then it's like, well, how, I don't know how you get that back. I mean, maybe it was never really there to begin with. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
But if you know, it's like, yeah, you can't make yourself feel something that you don't in a relationship. And I think it's really just honoring that within yourself. It's like, well, my truth is, and when we did break up, it was simply about the truths of the matter. I love you and I want you to be happy. I can't give you the happiness that you want. What you say you need, I can't fulfill for you. And if what I'm doing in my natural way of being is not enough for you, there is actually nothing more than I can do. And that was literally kind of how we broke up. And he was actually shocked because he was just, he sort of knew it was coming, but didn't, and in such a peaceful way. And I think I also really was like, I got to a point where there was no anger, there was no animosity. There is just love in my heart. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still frustrating, but I have my freedom now. And I can totally back myself. I think also what tends to happen in relationships is this feeling of needing to ask for permission. Because you share a life together and things like that. So I think what I was also doing was diminishing my power in, you know, I've always been an independent person and I've got my own mind, but, you know, his comments would affect me, or I felt like I need to ask his permission to start this new business venture or whatever the case was, even though I knew I didn't actually need his permission, but I wanted him to back me and I wanted his support. But, you know, now it's like, well, it's no longer a thing. So, you know, I've now been working on more self-love and more that when I do invite this new partner into my space, that I don't lose my independence. And that the belief is also attached to that I know I can still be independent and be in a loving relationship. So as I've, you know, we've separated, I've worked through all of this stuff, it's given me the opportunity to keep working on it. So I guess my biggest thing I can say to anybody is the number one thing you should absolutely be investing in is finding the right coach, mentor, energy healer, whoever it is that can support you on your journey in removing the blocks and the programs that are attached to you that stop you from truly stepping into that truest version of yourself. Because I could not have done this on my own. And investing in myself has been the number one biggest thing that has helped me get to where I need to get to. So it doesn't matter who you are and what stage of life you're in. You just need to value yourself enough to say, I'm worth, you know, investing in. And that's what I love about this work, because it's so broad. There's not any one topic that doesn't get touched.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And what about, so when you first start, before obviously, and that's, I know somebody's going to watch this and hear this message, and it's going to inspire them to make a change, which is beautiful. So thank you for being so open and transparent with the healing piece. So where did you, I can't remember if you started with Reiki or was it something else? What did you start with?
The very first one I started with was Access Consciousness. But in saying that, my mum is a part of an organization called Mahikari, which is a Japanese backed space. So I've been in that ever since I was a baby.
Okay.
So I've been in and around different, and I went to Christian schools, I went to public schools. So I've had a lot of access to different beliefs and ways.
Yeah.
Nothing stuck with me when it come to you need to conform, because I'm such a free spirit. And if I need to do X, Y, and Z to be able to practice, then that just doesn't work for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't sink in.
That's right. But what about how the energy grew though? Because it's like, if we go back, whether you're around that as a child or not, and you evolve and you come through these different stages to the stage where you're at now, and that self-love, self-worth, and freedom. What did you have to follow? What was your journey getting towards theta?
I think my journey was, what was my truth? So like I went down the Mahikari road for a while, and I got my omitama, and you have to do kenchu for like a weekend or whatever, but you need to wear this like, it's an omitama, which you wear as around a necklace, and it's all like cased up, and it sits inside your bra or a shirt. But you're not allowed to shower with it, you're not allowed to swim with it, and all of that sort of thing. So you've got to go through a process every day.
Yep.
The learnings are all very similar in terms of your ancestors and, thanks, and, when things evolve in your life. So the learnings have all been similar along the same lines. But there was too much conformity for me. I was like, it doesn't work for me, because I am a free spirit just by nature. I'm impulsive, and, I can change my mind from 1 minute to the next of where I'm doing what I'm doing. So that didn't work. So I quickly realized, okay, I've gone down that road and I've done that. But I think every time you do these sorts of things, it just helps you on that spiritual level, and it helps take away all of the, like I said, programming and things like that sort of attached to you. That helps you get closer to where you're going. So I've always, like I said, always been in and around. So for the most part, it was always, I just received these healings. I went and received these healings.
Okay. Yep.
Teachers were like, you're a healer, you can heal yourself. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what that means. Didn't quite get that.
Yeah.
But as I continue to just go down this road of, I guess, seeking, I'm always in the question, how can I do better? How can I be different? How can I evolve from here? But I think my number one thing was always about consistency. So I've never been great at being consistent with anything.
Okay. Yep.
Just because, again, I'm a free spirit. Like, that is just part and parcel of who I am. I get that now.
And now with all this knowledge, and obviously theta, and I know you've been obviously started coaching as well. And I would, for any woman or man, but any woman watching this who this resonates with, your story resonates with, I can wholeheartedly recommend they come and do some coaching sessions with you, because they'll get a lot from it. But no, it's incredible. So so now you're obviously doing the theta and coaching and the salon. So somebody comes to you now, what's their experience?
So I guess what I'm trying to create now with anyone that comes to me, I mean, some people come to me specifically for healing, some come just for hairdressing, but because the way that the world is moving, we need elevation, and everyone's looking to shift. Like, we're all in the search for something. It's just we don't know exactly what that is. So I try to integrate healings into every service that I offer now, whether it be small or large, whether it's just a little bit of an energy healing at the basin, or a touch point on, because this work is so intuitively guided, and I'm generally working at people's crowns. So stuff just tends to blow up into my brain, and I just start dropping in, and like, I just start saying things, and they're like, how did you know that? And I'm like, I was told.
Yeah.
So basically, though, with the salon, it really is going to be about creating that whole experience so that people can be regularly getting those shifts and changes that I think we're
Mm.
all searching for, so that we're not in this stuckness.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, but ultimately the amazing thing with this work is you have freedom of choice, you have free will. So if something comes up that you don't want to shift because it serves you for whatever reason, there's nothing I can do about it. That would stay with you. So, you know, basically I'm just there to help facilitate the things that want to come through and be shifted, and you have the complete control over whether you allow those shifts to occur or not. So yeah, I mean, I just think that everyone should, like, I think in America it's a thing, like they've got like a personal coach and a life coach, and like you've just got coaches for everything over there.
Yeah.
Kind of lagging a little bit here, and I
agree.
starting to get it, you know, now.
It's like you support. It's like your support team, right? It's, you know, and I'm
in your corner, and that's exactly what I wrote yesterday, because I'm like, as this is all evolving, I'm kind of getting an idea and a feel for the packages that people might want. And I created a package last night, and that's exactly what I said. I'm like, I'm your person in your corner. I'm that person cheering you on no matter what. I'm there to help. I want you to become that version of yourself that I can see and that I can feel, because I know that she or he, but generally she is in there, and you just need somebody else to help bring that to the surface and bring it to fruition. But yeah, I guess like my whole perspective when it comes back to what I want people to experience is I want people to experience transformation. And because I do deal with the outside, hair and beauty, I can do like life detoxes. So we can look at over the course of a year, you know, what products are we using at home? Like what hair care, what beauty care, what household care, because environment also plays a massive part in toxic load and toxicity. So it's really looking at the person as a whole individual, and how can we eradicate all of those aspects that aren't serving us.
And it's incredible, isn't it? In my experience anyway, it's incredible when you lose all that toxicity in your life, how much more connected to your true self you naturally become.
Yeah.
You know, when you don't drink every night, and when you don't smoke and you don't do drugs, and your diet's a lot healthier. It just everything sort of vibrates at a higher frequency.
And that's the interesting thing, because I mean, I was a big partier. I did a lot of drugs when I was younger, and, you know, drank a lot over periods of time as well.
Yeah.
But the more enlightened I become, the more I don't want to do any of those things anymore, because I don't want to be disconnected. Like I love the euphoria that I have from this connection. Like the other day, I'll give you a really good example.
Yeah.
The kids were both having moments that morning. It was being particularly difficult to get out of the house. I had them both crying over various things, trying to get the dog out for a walk as well, because I felt guilty because he hadn't been out. So finally kind of get everyone out the door and, you know, walk to school. And I sort of did my walk around the lap of the oval with the dog. And then I realized, oh crap, I don't have my house key on me. I remember locking the door, but I don't have my key. So I literally stopped dead in my tracks, and I closed my eyes and I said, Creator, I command that you show me where my door key is. And it showed me the front door. I'm like, okay, I see that it's in the front door. I'll still have a look around anyway, just to clarify for myself.
Yeah.
I couldn't see it. And I said to my friend, like, I'm pretty sure it's in the front door. That's what Creator told me. And sure enough, it was in the front door.
Yeah.
So like, really what this lesson is for me, it's all about trust, you know, and it doesn't matter what your belief is. I think that's what the most amazing thing about this is you can believe in God, you can believe in Jesus, you can believe in whatever you believe in. It's all the same. It's just about knowing how to connect and how to ask the right questions in the right way to the universe, to God, to get a direct answer, and then just being open enough to hear it. So that's like, for me now, to be able to do that just for myself, you know, I don't always hear it because sometimes ego gets in the way. But in that moment, I asked clearly, I heard clearly, and, you know, I got home and I was still like, oh my God, I'm actually shocked. There it is in the door. I heard correctly. So, but it's bizarre. I feel like when I hear for others, it's a lot clearer for others. And I doubt more when I hear for myself. So it is still this ever evolving journey of just trusting the process and relinquishing myself to the Creator, and just allowing Creator to guide me, and knowing that I am infinitely guided by the Creator, and that none of this is actually me. This is all, I'm doing the Creator's work, and that's I think.
And it's good because you've clearly detached from Maya, right? From the illusion. Now you're clearly detached from what you're saying, and it's like, I'm just sensing all these women that are still stuck in Maya, in this illusion of, this is where I'm meant to be, and they're not fulfilled, they're not happy, they're not loved, they're just shut down.
Yeah.
Like, trying to, not trying to, but being something to make somebody else happy.
Yeah.
When what I love about your energy, I mean, your words obviously speak from the heart. I sense that, but your whole energy and the way now, it's just, I'm connected to Creator. I'm connected, like, not for me. This is just my opinion, by the way, because like, I partied for many years, did drugs and alcohol, and God knows what else. And now I've been sober for nearly 5 years, sober and drug free for nearly 5 years, and it's been the best 5 years of my life. Like, like you say, the connection you have once you go through this, and you experience it, 'cause it's all about direct experience, and then obviously you embody that. And even if you just put your toe in the water,
Mm.
even if you just put the toe in your water, it has a ripple effect throughout your whole life, and especially as a woman, through your whole nervous system and your emotional being, and you get that little spark of like, there I am.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that just grows.
It's incredible. And it's like, it's a euphoria. And like, the more I step into this work, and it's about, again, like that peeling off those layers of the outside of life that life has put upon us, that our parents have put upon us, that the community has put upon us, that our ancestors have put upon us, that the more we can shift ourselves of that, because that's the hardest part, right? Is getting to that and shifting away those layers, because the more we can shift those layers, the more the true you, the true essence of who you are, can drop in. And like, I've seen with clients that, in the first session, I asked them, where do you see yourself in, 3 months, a year, 5 years? So many people struggle with that. They're like, I don't know. I don't really know what I want. They're just so disconnected to that self, that inner true being of who they are, that they can't even imagine or visualize a different way of existing. So, and even after just one session, because I use multiple different modalities. So I use my theta healing. I use light, which you can see in the background. It's turned off now, but theta, infrared light, so the different colors also access different parts of the brain. That's also called chromiotherapy, but in this particular case, you also can heal the skin. I use another mat, it's called a quantum biohealth mat. You lay on that, and that's also got infrared light, and it's got crystals that are activated. The whole mat is activated. So as we're doing the shifts, it's just reinforcing those shifts into the cells of our being. So we're not just working, like I said, on the metaphysical, on the outside aspects of the energy. We're working on you as a whole. But that's not to say this work still can't be as effective like over Zoom. But because I am such an empathic person, I love to be able to put my hands on people and move around the body and be guided with shifts. Like, what is coming through for me more and more is all about, like you keep talking about, this womanly goddess, and how disconnected women are from their true innate goddess nature.
Totally.
And what I'm starting to see more and more is this worthiness around and willingness around being able to receive. So, I mean, I don't know how true it is for lots of women, but I think, even just, again, it's being able to step back into that pure ecstasy of what life has to give, like connection, like intimate connection. When we are truly in line with ourselves, then when we are with a partner and we invite the right energy in, that we're able to then allow that ecstasy of being with somebody. And like, you can have euphoria in the most natural forms. You don't need drugs to do that.
Yeah.
So I think that's what is starting to really drop in for me, that's part of what my process is going to be, with really helping women shed away, society's pressures on themselves, so that they can really embody this goddess energy within them and allow themselves to experience life at the fullest. I don't know, I nearly can't articulate what's starting to drop in just with the last few clients I've had. Like, it just seems to become like a bit of a pattern of what I'm starting to see. And through my own journey of stepping into this space, like, I can identify with. For a long time, I didn't think I was worthy of the love I wanted, let alone being satisfied in all ways in being in a relationship with someone. So yeah, it's pretty magical stuff, the shifts that are starting to happen.
No, it's great. It's great. And look, we're coming up to time. So I'm going to share your details on the beginning of this video, and we share it on YouTube, and obviously share it for your website. But just if somebody wants to get, some woman or man, but I really sense the passion and energy you're sharing for women here to seek their true selves. Somebody wants to get in contact with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Best way would probably be my website. It's simple and easy, which is www.lyndle, so lyndle.com.au, and there'll be like a contact us form and links to my Facebook page and all those sorts of things.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, beautiful goddess. Thank you so much for your time today, and look forward to speaking with you in the future. And just I cannot recommend anyone watching this who wants to reconnect, especially if you're a woman in one of those situations we discussed today, reach out to Lyndle and allow her magic to work on you.
Yay. Thank you, Nick, and thanks everyone.